We went and seen Beau is Afraid a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, Beau is Afraid. Maybe the weirdest movie I've ever seen.
General thoughts. What do you think?
Just generally, I think the movie was really long. I thought it was very unique. I thought that, I don't know if I'd watch it again on my own accord, because, you know, there's a lot of weird imagery, which I'm fine with weird imagery, but also it's just like the story was connected in a weird way, I feel like. It was almost like he was just on this oblivious journey, and maybe I guess we as the viewer are also on that same oblivious journey of like, we don't know what's going on, and Beau clearly doesn't know what's going on in any moment. He can't make decisions. Also, hold on, quick caveat, spoilers probably ahead. We're just going to talk about this movie, so if you haven't seen it, you can skip forward. Yeah.
So you don't think you'll watch it because of it's too long, or is it too much?
No, I just think that it's like, I feel like one time's enough, you know?
Okay.
I saw it. What do you think?
I think it's too long. I think the movie's too long. I can't say whether I like it or not like it, because I think it's the type of movie that deserves a second watch if you're really curious about trying to figure it out. And I'll probably do that just to do it. And probably even a third. I won't do it a third time, but I think it probably needs a third watch to figure it out. Like anyone who claims to know that movie right off the rip, I think that's so corny when people are like, "Oh yeah, I got it." No, you didn't. That movie, there's no way.
Yeah.
Too long for sure though. There's like room for 3-hour movies, Endgame, Avatar, where even those are like pushing it. But a movie that's so artistic, I mean, he can make whatever movie he wants. Yeah. It's his movie. But like, it's just like, I think that whatever he was trying to tell probably could have been told in an hour.
I think I agree with that because like in a movie like Endgame, you have the through line in the story, it's all building to something, right? And I guess you could say that's the case with Beau is Afraid, but you don't really ever know. Like even up to the very last scene, you don't know like where the ending is or like what the ending is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So it feels like you're just kind of sitting through this thing of like, I don't know what's going on. But
I'll say this. I mean, if you were to like to say, okay, I want to get your actual opinion before I say anything on like,
okay,
you enjoy movie as an art. How does this fit into into that scene? Like, what is that?
Well, you know how we always talk about like certain things. There's a commercial viability on this end, and then there's like artistic integrity. So I mean, Avengers Endgame, right? And then on this hand, you have like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or something where it breaks traditional storytelling convention, or deals with something like maybe those are actually bad examples.
That's pretty good examples though.
All I'm saying is like, for music, it's easy for me. Music, you have Drake and you have James Blake. You've got something that sounds really good and is appreciated by many. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you have something that is creating something new that you've never heard before, but it's less palatable for your average person. This is definitely on the less palatable thing. Honestly, I think probably Hereditary and definitely Midsommar are less palatable for your average person. But
where does Beau is Afraid fit in that?
Yeah, it's pretty far. It's pretty far on that.
It's even more far, way further than.
It's further than Midsommar, I think.
Everything Everywhere All at Once as well. Well, definitely.
What are some of the things that you picked up on in the film as far as the concept? There's a lot of speculation about what it's about. I have a couple thoughts. I know there's been some YouTubers that have kind of given their thoughts on it. I know you say you need a second watch, but what are some things that you just think it might be starting off?
I don't think the movie, I'm glad you said things, because I don't think the movie's trying to do one thing. It's trying to do multiple things, and it's doing it in such a convoluted way, but with so much care and detail. Like, for instance, I think that it definitely has this idea of indecisiveness the entire movie. This is where the spoilers come into play. You have this person who is always, it seems as a generational thing has been passed down to where he doesn't really know whether to say yes or no, or whether he agrees or doesn't agree. He always has this, he can't make a decision. And it's all from the beginning. It's the mom he loses his keys in the door, and the mom asks him to come to where she's at and see her, and he's like, what do you think I should do? Like, he just can't make these decisions, and that is shown throughout the movie multiple times, multiple different ways, to the point where even at the end of the movie, he's in that big Coliseum or like audience type place, he was in like there's like a whole jury going on.
Yeah,
they were judging no specific parts of his life. They were going, in this moment he had to do this, and he chose to not do anything at all. And they did it for every single moment that it happened in the film.
It was also super irrational. Like when they were like, he decided to go tomorrow instead of today, but he was being so pressured into saying that.
Right.
You know?
It's something about that. It's something about, because
it was like no actual rational person would have interpreted him as like that as being like a strike against his mother.
Yeah.
Like he was very much trying for the, but.
Yeah, I think if I was to give my grand, like if I was trying to, I'm not going to act like I know what this movie's about because like I said, I need to watch it again. But if I was trying to give, based off what you said, and give my whole, like what this movie's trying to do is that the movie, a movie when it teaches you a message, is trying to tell you something. Usually you have two things. You have someone who's going through it, and then you have someone that represents the audience. I think that Ari Aster cut the audience part out on this one. And he was like, this person is indecisive and he's anxiety driven, right? And he doesn't give us the perspective to go, that is what he's trying to tell us. He's not giving us a reasonable person to kind of latch onto to teach us that. He's going, no, you're going to see the world how he sees it.
Yep.
Which is, he's anxiety driven and he's being judged for these things, even though he knows he's innocent. Yeah. And like his anxiety has ruined his life and to the point where it's completely devolved into madness, right?
Yeah.
And the reason it's so weird to us is because we're like, oh, like he didn't deserve this. Well, of course he didn't. And Beau doesn't think that either. Yeah. He doesn't think that at all. But we don't get that relief to go, oh wow. Like,
I would say he actually does a little bit because there's that theme of guilt. When the therapist is writing guilt down and things like that, I think that there's some part of him that, like, he's trying to distinguish because he's had such an abusive relationship with his mom. Like the mom has been this overprotective character, and he has such abuse as a result of this that he's scared of everything. He has anxiety about everything. He's been extremely sheltered, right? And I think somewhere mixed in there is like, he was treading this line of like, can I be independent? Like, I'm trying to, he wants to become an adult, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He is an adult, but like, he's trying to get away from that, but then he has a thing where it's like, well, what's my role with my mom? Like, should I be excited to go see her? You know what I'm saying?
That's true. And I just thought about something right now, like, based off what you were saying, and like, it leans right into Beau's kind of characteristics, which is he did have one thing, and the thing he was most excited about, and it didn't require him to make a decision now, which was his most precious thing, which was waiting for Elaine. The whole entire time, he has this one goal in life, which is to like wait for Elaine. And he knew that gave him so much joy because he was like, I don't have to do anything right now. I just have to wait for her. It gave him purpose, which I thought was interesting. I was going to say something though, which is someone made this theory online of Beau is Afraid, which is like, I don't know if I agree with it because it doesn't seem to make sense, but it's kind of cool to think about. Is that someone believes that everything is real up until the point of when he's in the bathtub after he finds out his mom has died, and that he's going to drown himself, and then dopamine is released, and then everything up until that point is just this dopamine release when you die. Yeah. And the boat flipping was like supposed to be like him actually being drowned in the tub. Like I thought that was, but I was like, well, how do you explain all the stuff before that? Yeah. Niggas running on the street to the people killing each other. Yeah. Anyways,
I don't think I have a total grasp, but I do have a lot of thoughts about. So for one, you have I think the core of the story is you have this narrative of the overprotective mother that has created, and it's actually counterintuitive, right? Because the mother's trying to protect the kid, but by not allowing him to like experience difficulty and like whatever, he's not prepared for that kind of stuff.
Anything at all.
Right, and I think, that actually happens in real life. Like, not to this extent. They're taking it to an extreme extent. But he's so afraid of everything because he's been coddled so much that he's unable to like be decisive because he's like avoiding, pain at all costs. Now, I think there's clearly a lot of sexual imagery throughout this entire thing. I think
gross,
the name of the hotel was like Erectus Ejectus or something like that. Like, you know, of course, we know about what was in the attic. You know, so I think that is Ari Aster playing on this like Sigmund Freud thing, right? So like Sigmund Freud talks a lot about, or like one of his quintessential things is that like basically little boys, like they basically are sexually interested in their mothers because they're like this, like, and when they try to find a partner, you know what I'm saying, trying to find people that reflect your mother or whatever. We had this whole like theory about like very deep internal, you know what I'm saying, things. It's the first woman you love, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right, so there's all this stuff, you know, and I'm not like, somebody could speak a lot more to that.
Yeah.
But I think that this whole movie is about a mother son relationship.
Part of the big section of the biggest idea.
Right,
movie,
right.
yeah.
And then I think there's this sexual through line, and so I think it's getting into this. It's very much a movie, I think, about overprotective moms. Now,
For sure.
How I interpret some of the crazy stuff that happens, I agree with what you're saying. I think with Beau, we are experiencing the world as Beau experiences it, sort of. I think that they actually took and made literal. They made his internal anxieties a literal manifestation. So, for example, like, you know, if you have a lot of anxiety, right? Okay, let's say you're taking a bath and you're closing your eyes and just a thought just pops into your head, like, what if somebody's standing over me right now? And then, like, you could just ignore it, but then you're like, wait, let me open my eyes to see. And if you know what I'm saying, it's never actually there. But like, you know, in this movie, there's a dude just like above him, or like, oh, like what if there's a brown recluse in my room that I'm not aware of and it bites me and kills me, and like, or you know, I think it's basically taking every little thought of anxiety that a person might have, and Ari Aster is just saying like, no, let's entertain all of them.
Yeah.
Let's just make it a real thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like even the keys, leaving the keys in the door, or leaving the door open with your stuff outside.
That, yeah.
Right? Like I feel like that's a normal thing,
and there's no explanation for it.
Yeah. Exactly. And so it was like, oh, what if somebody steals my keys? Is like a thought that you might have just randomly. Like that doesn't make sense. It's not super rational. But like you left your keys in the door and you left your door open in an apartment. Like what if somebody comes by and steals my luggage? And then they actually just do that every single time he has a hint of anxiety.
You're right. Yeah, I think that's a part of it for sure. There's so many different themes. It's like hard to.
Yeah.
That's one of them, and then there's like the theme with like how does that fit into some of the other ones, like the whole section of the movie where he's at this people's house, and they're like doing surgery on him.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much like it's like he's trying to do a lot. I will say this: I think that the movie is great in the sense of an artistic piece, but it doesn't like do everything. It doesn't do one thing really well. It does everything. It's just too much trying.
It does the strange thing really well.
It does a strange thing really well. So my dad told me a story about when he seen Pulp Fiction for the first time. He actually was alive to see the movie in theaters, and he said that he walked out. A lot of people walked out of the theater because they weren't hip to the idea of Tarantino style yet. They did the same thing with Reservoir Dogs. You know other movies they walked out of? That it's internationally known that people were asking for refunds for these specific movies.
What?
Fight Club.
Wow.
Which, think about Fight Club.
Yeah.
Fight Club is weird.
Fight Club is weird.
Fight Club is Beau is Afraid, but like different, in a different way.
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan. Pulp Fiction.
That's
like
wild.
These are all movies that people were like, this is doing too much.
Yeah.
What Ari Aster, I think that we are seeing a modern day Kubrick. Because Stanley Kubrick made The Shining, he made 2001: Space Odyssey, he made Full Metal Jacket, he made Clockwork Orange, right? None of those movies, all those movies are super respected now. None of those movies at the time were super big, unless they had a big name behind it, like Stephen King and The Shining, right? But everyone solidifies Stanley Kubrick as like he's like a freaking Alfred Hitchcock of his time.
Yeah.
Like he's that big of a
director. I think Ari for sure will have legendary status as a director when all is said and done. I think it's a little bit hard for me because just because something is artistic and weird doesn't actually make it good.
You don't think this is pioneering?
No. I do think it is. Yeah. I do think it is, and I think time will tell if it becomes, you know, something as profoundly artistic as The Shining or genre, bending or moving. But
time will tell. Yeah, it will for sure.
Yeah, but that's the hard part though, because like I don't think any of us left there going like, I really enjoyed that movie. And I know that's not even like Hereditary, like that's a dreadful movie. You watch it, it's dreadful. But we left and we were like, that was awesome because I felt so dreadful. This movie, I didn't necessarily know how to feel. It kind of like, and it kind of cuts, for me, it cuts a little bit against some of my views about art itself, which is like, I feel like good art makes you feel something specific. And
right.
I think I haven't really identified what feeling I'm getting from Beau is Afraid. And maybe that is cool. Maybe when I figure it out, maybe when I really sit with it, it clicks with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the one area where I'm like, I don't fully know how to interpret it because it's very clear that it's ambitious.
It's very clear it's ambitious.
It's ambitious. It's well made. There were some beautiful shots in it. Like, I think most people's favorite part is probably going to be that entire animated sequence where
mixed media type part.
Yeah. I thought that was really dope. I also thought it was really sick when you remember when he ran out into the street and it had that like third person video game perspective where he's trying to decide which place to go. Yeah, because
so many
bro,
crazy
that was fire, man.
I agree with you. Last thing, I think I always bring it back to Radiohead, right? Because Radiohead, no one goes, I'm bumping Radiohead at the club.
Yeah.
Right? No one's like, oh, Radiohead. Like, no, I don't, there's some albums like In Rainbows or whatever that album is called. I'm like, I can tell what this album's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not vibing with Radiohead. But at the same time, I'm not going, Radiohead's not good.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? Because obviously they're doing something beyond the spectrum. Like they're doing something outside of music. But still, like it's still music. Like it still lives in the art of music, but it's taking it to a different. I'm not even gonna say to a higher level, but it's taking a different perspective, right?
Well, I also like movies that'll leave it a little bit up for that.
Yeah.
And everything seems intentional. Because like
intentional.
Also you have to direct it this way. There's a reason. I don't think he was just doing.
He has a reason for sure.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. So I think it's really artistic, man. I don't know if I necessarily enjoyed it. What would you give it on a dagger rating?
I'm gonna give it on my first watch, I'm gonna give Beau is Afraid 7 daggers, and I'm gonna give it 7 daggers because time hasn't told the tale of Beau is Afraid yet.
Yeah.
It may move up to 12 daggers for me after we understand it more.
I think I fully agree. I think I'm going to go 7 out of 12, and same thing. I think the more I sit with it, probably the more I'll appreciate it. But, then again, there are movies that were really weird and whatever that actually didn't age gracefully for me.
That's true. Like Mother, for instance, this is Ari Aster's like doing Mother but better.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sweet.
7 daggers.
7 out of 12. Go check it out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, baby, need top 5 when I'm done going mental. Yeah, I'm locked in. You can peep my condition, man. The lab all winter, all summer. Yeah, I went dumb.